everyone, welcome back. I'm Angelina Mojica, Certified Family Life Educator, host of Good Morning Minutes on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Danica Shea, licensed clinical social worker and the owner of Danica Shea Counseling and Consulting.
So I want to welcome you back. Last episode, Shay, we talked about setbacks, and that kind of got me thinking, when people have setbacks, to get back on track, one of the main skills to have is emotional health. Because that really helps you bounce back into the swing of things, so to speak. What is emotional health? How would you define that?
You know, I kind of, when you said that, it made me think of emotional intelligence. It's just really being aware of emotions, what they are for, what place they have in our lives, that it's normal to have emotions. And it's not actually, the issue is not having the emotion, it's what we do with it that's important. How we cope with it is what really makes the difference.
Right. And I mean, I think that's exactly what perspective I'm coming from, because when you have a setback, if you have, I guess, an unstable emotional intelligence perspective, then you're not going to see things in a right frame. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, not to confuse emotional health with mental health. There is a difference.
Yeah.
What's the difference in that?
Well, you know, emotional health is, again, it's our emotions, it's our feelings. You know, mental health is, you know, it's under the diagnostic
so you're being
manual,
right,
the DSM. You know, mental health does include mood disorders, it includes personality disorders, it includes really, but what it boils down to is a way that mentally we're perceiving and interpreting things, and we're interacting with the world around us, too, with people.
Right. So it's your emotions. It's like how vulnerable you are in situations, and also like your authenticity, if you would say. So when I think of emotional health, the things I think about when you do have a strong emotional balance, I think you're resilient. I think you have a self-awareness, and you're going to look at life and have a certain contentment for life.
Definitely. Resiliency is the key, because when you said, what do you think of, Shay? I was like, emotional intelligence and resiliency was the second word that popped in my head. So yes, resiliency is huge, because again, it goes back to perspective, how I'm perceiving that something that happened and how I'm applying it to my life. And when I give it meaning, it gives it so much depth, you know?
Yeah.
And we can cope better.
Absolutely. And just because you have a good understanding of your own emotional health, it does not mean that you're going to be like happy all the time. You're not,
Yeah.
Because then we need to look at mental health.
Right.
Because I mean, you know, and I say that jokingly, but really, because you're going to have a good perspective. Now, you're not going to be happy all the time. It doesn't mean that you're not going to experience life's ups and downs.
Exactly. And you know, this is a lot of talk nowadays about positivity and things like that. I really truly believe that I may not be happy all the time, but I can always be joyful. I can always find joy, because to me that's a lot deeper. But let's not forget, I can still be happy, or I can still have joy, whichever word you want to use.
Right.
And I can still feel sad.
Right.
You know, I can still, wow, that makes me sad, or I feel sad about this, or I wish it wasn't this way. And that's okay.
Absolutely. And I mean, you speak of joy, so kind of veering off into like a biblical perspective. When you have joy, it's just an inner peace that you have within yourself. So yes, life may hit you with a rough spot, or you may be experiencing, you know, a down moment in your life, but you know how to manage through it. You see it for what it is. You see the situation for what it is, and you just manage through it. So you're not consumed by your emotions. You're not allowing your emotions to lead you in the situation. So you're not just reacting to what's happening.
Yes, good stuff.
Yeah.
You're so right, because that's the key. You know, I can feel a certain emotion that we may coin as negative, just for clarification purposes. We may coin it as negative, but that's the key. Like, how am I processing it? And what are my thoughts? And how am I processing that and applying it to my life and pushing through? Because again, that way, when something similar happens, I can maybe cope or deal with it differently. But that's the whole thing of processing it through. That's so important, not getting stuck there.
Right, absolutely. And not dwelling on it either. I mean, and also like, so that's kind of what emotional health looks like, but it's also catching your own self-judgments too. So being able to turn, because we all have self-talk, so being able to turn that self-talk and let it tell you maybe more solution focused, and not allowing that negative self-talk to keep you stuck, like you said.
Exactly. No, self-talk is everything, because, you know, who's the person that talks to you most throughout the day is you. And what are we telling ourselves? And, you know, everything begins with thought. So if I'm speaking to myself a certain way every day, but I want different results, I have to start talking to myself differently.
Absolutely. And then also too, I mean, having a sense of curiosity. So your emotional health, having a good stability in your emotional health is going to give you a curious mindset. You're going to look at situations and you're going to kind of dive into, you know, maybe it'd be a situation of you're on the down, and you're going to dive into it, and instead of looking at, oh my gosh, life's against me, you're going to look at it as, how am I going to overcome life? How am I going to overcome a situation? What are the solutions behind it? Is there even an opportunity to look at?
Yeah, there's always an opportunity to look at it differently. And you're right. Instead of seeing that life's against me, it's like, oh wait, life is working for me. How can I see that life is working for me?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because life is just life. I mean, it happens to everyone. It's not anything that is prescribed.
Right. It's like, it's neutral.
Yeah.
You know, it is.
Feels like I would like to prescribe to
It's
myself.
not out to get you.
No.
And out to support me. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And emotional health is important because it builds, like I said, resilience, but resilience to stressful situations. It can deepen relationships, because you can come in to a relationship and also look at it and be more empathetic. You can be present and in the moment with your person.
Yes.
And not just a person of romantic interest, but all your relationships.
Yeah, that's good. Empathy is so important. I was just talking about empathy earlier with a client, and it's so important. It's an important skill we need to build. Really, we do.
Right, and it helps. Emotional health also helps with your own self-esteem. So again, turning that inward voice, turning your inward looks to a positive perspective, and seeing yourself for, you know, the success that you are, for the enjoyment that you give, for, you know, the joy that you bring into other lives.
Right. And maybe say something didn't work out like you had hoped or planned necessarily, but not looking at as a failure. It's I'm learning.
Right, absolutely. And that's exactly what life is a learning opportunity. What are some ways that we could really work on implementing more emotional health in our life? What are some practices?
Well, I think whenever we do have those emotions, I kind of go through this process with my clients. I'm like, first I need to identify, you know, what am I feeling? Maybe I go back to, if I can't, you know, we process, and what is this about? What is this stemming from? Or what am I wanting from this? And then we move into just processing those things. Like, is there a solution? Maybe there's not a quote unquote solution. Right. So I process those things through. And then if I get to the solution, great. And then I do the solution and we let it go. We release it. And then if there isn't per se a solution I could do, then I need to release it as well. Because if there's not a solution I can do about it, I need to let it go either way.
Right.
So really those steps I think is super important. As far as like tangible things that we can do that help, I think one of the huge ones is journaling, because we think a lot of like stuff in our head and jumble, and we don't really know what we're thinking. But when we start writing what we're thinking, it helps us clarify, what am I thinking? How am I feeling? Now, what do I want? And then what do I want to do? And it allows me to really...
Right. No, and I agree, because I'm one of those that likes to just process out loud. So when I'm talking, and I can be talking to a friend or something, but I'm talking and I'm spitting out just raw thoughts and ideas, and sometimes they can come across a little callous. So I like it. I like the journaling idea, because it helps you to spit out those emotions, spit out those ideas, those thoughts, and then you can reflect back on it.
Yes.
And you know, it also helps, journaling helps with that regulation, because when a situation of high impact hits you emotionally, you need to regulate. And so that can be meditation, that can be prayer, journaling, listening to music. breathing, centering yourself. And then you want to like exercise, because exercise could be another form of, implementing good emotional health.
Gratitude journal.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then, social connection. So making sure that you surround yourself with people that are positive and uplifting and
that are encouraging you, not just saying positive things that you want to hear or whatever, but they're encouraging you, they're challenging you to maybe think further,
Yeah. So what we're saying here, bottom line, is that emotional health is critical to your overall well-being.
Overall, yes.
Overall.
Because it's, we talked about mental health and like it all is like ties in together.
It does. I mean, mental health, emotional health, your physical health, everything is going to be it's going to just benefit your overall well-being of who you are, how you interact with in your relationships and in society and in the world, and what you contribute and all that fun stuff. Yes. But if you like what you heard, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe. I am Angelina Mojica.
I'm Dan Goucher.
Much love, much peace, many blessings.